forward to the next presentation will be given by Omar Hahad from Germany, from Mainz, Germany, and he will talk about evidence for air pollution effects on hypertension.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you very much for the kind invitation and for this very well organized event. Okay, today my talk will be about the effects of air pollution on hypertension, and there's very good evidence. There's substantial evidence showing that air pollution is a causal risk factor for air pollution, and I will show you why this is the case. But let me first begin to tell you that air pollution is a lifelong exposure, right? We all need to breathe on a daily basis, and when you look at how much liters you inhale or over a lifetime, over 300 million liters in a lifetime, then that's crucial, because every time you breathe, there's a chance or possibility that some kind of pollutant will enter your lungs and the airways and become systemic. Okay, let me give you some recent data from the Global Burden of Disease study updated last year for the 2021 estimates. So when you look at what kills most people globally, driven by environmental and occupational risk factors, the top three causes are ambient PM, household air pollution, and lead exposure. So when you look at ambient PM as the ranked first, you have around 4.8 million deaths a year. When you look at the second most pronounced risk factor, air pollution from solid fuels, you have around 3 million deaths a year. And for lead exposure, it's around 1.5 million deaths. So only these top three causes do a lot of excess deaths in a year, according to the Global Burden of Disease study. When we look at Poland-specific estimates, then we see a kind of similar pattern, like ambient PM is also ranked the top first. We have low temperatures, not high temperatures, as the second predominant environmental risk factor, and also as third, lead exposure. And when we look at the estimates for Poland, we speak around 33,000 deaths a year in Poland due to ambient PM. Low temperature causes also around 60,000 deaths a year, and lead exposure creates around 8,000 deaths a year in Poland alone. Why do people die from air pollution? So, of course, the top causes are of cardiorespiratory nature. We have at the top cause of why people die in Poland from air pollution is due to ischemic heart disease, ischemic stroke, and lung cancer as the third reason. And of course, these cardiovascular reasons are the top numbers here, creating excess deaths in a year in Poland. So Arthur just said very well interesting facts about air pollution in Poland, but let's just give you some more. So as Arthur said, Poland is ranked consistently among the polluted nations in the European Union, and also they have very high polluted cities. And what was interesting to me that in December 2023, Krakow was actually reported to have the second highest air pollution in the world, just behind Delhi in India, which I have been to, and it's a really polluted city. So this was very interesting to me, given the importance of environmental risk factors in cardiovascular health. So we see increasing statements of the societies, and right now, just as a teaser, we submitted a clinical consensus statement for the ESC just 1 month ago with a lot of experts in the field, and we deal with all these topics that we will discuss during the next 2 days, and hopefully this will also increase the impact and the awareness regarding these topics. Also, what I want to highlight is that we see also investments in these kind of topics. My colleague Andreas Daiber got around 9.5 million euros from the EU for a project dealing with noise and ultrafine particles, which is, especially the ultrafine particles are understudied in this context, and we collaborate with 15 partner institutions from 10 countries, And this shows that this topic gets in the awareness of the public and of the politicians and lawmakers. So when we come to the effects of air pollution and hypertension, as I said, there's very good evidence, and there's no doubt that air pollution is a causal risk factor for increasing blood pressure and hypertension. We also published these results recently in the Polish Heart Journal and also in hypertension. And when you look at the scheme on the right, then you see the pattern mechanisms proposed, how air pollutants enters the organism and the lungs and transmigrate to become systemic into the circulation, how they enrich in the lungs and in the brain especially. And what is most important here, from my opinion, when I look at the studies and also the studies we have done in our labs, then it's the convergence point might be endothelial dysfunction induced by NOx2, like these kind of an uncoupled enos, which produces, instead of nitric oxide, produces radicals, decreasing NO bioavailability in the vasculature. And so this is increasing the blood pressure, hypertension, and also then manifests into other cardiovascular diseases as well. But we know this only from animal studies particularly. And actually last week, I guess, or so, there was a very important study published from Grigg and colleagues, which was based in London. And they showed for the first time how these particles travel throughout the body. And so what they did was to expose, in a natural setting, 1 hour roadside traffic in London, healthy participants. And they had also a control group, which there was no pollution at all. And what they want to see is how, like, these particles become systemic and go into the circulation. They used like highly advanced imaging techniques. And what they showed was there's a red blood count or cell hitchhiking, meaning that these particles adheres to the blood cells in vivo and move with this mechanism throughout the body. And they had like a very interesting control group where they put FFP2 masks on the participants, and they showed that there was no adherence to the particles, very reduced adherence of particles to the RBCs. So they provide for the first time a very reasonable mechanism in vivo how these particles travel throughout the body. Maybe another study from my colleague Marin Kuntic, which is really interesting, is what does the size make? You know, we have like the concentration, we have the mass, we have the chemical properties of the particles, but why is the size important? It's because of this reason that the small particles can penetrate the lungs and go into the circulation, while the bigger particles like PM10, they stick to the lungs mostly and enrich in the lungs and cause local inflammation there, whereas the smaller parts enrich in the heart and in the brain. And this study showed this very nicely. I will go through this very quick because I want to show you a video at the end. So as I said, we have very good evidence. There's no doubt that air pollution is a causal risk factor. What is debatable is, of course, the extent to which air pollution increases blood pressure. So this is of debate, but that it's a risk factor is no more debatable anymore. Just giving you an expression of how big these risk estimates are from a meta-analysis including 10 cohort studies and 42 million people worldwide. So we have here a relative risk of 21% higher risk of hypertension per each 10 microgram per cubic meter of PM 2.5. And yeah, this is a kind of overview of the risk estimates. So you see we have variance and kind of this way, but there's no doubt that these factors increase the risk of air pollution. Now I told you that Poland is like, although it made substantial progress over time, that Poland was really affected by air pollution. I want to show you an example how the cities can control air pollution. And this is a prime example from a Polish city.
Gdy przeprowadziłem się do Rybnika, okazało się, że gdy biegłem wieczorami pojawia się u mnie kaszel, który w zasadzie nie ustępuje przez całą zimę. Myślałem, że to rodzaj jakiejś infekcji. Lekarz powiedział, że to jest kiedy wiesz. Dla mnie to była szokująca informacja. Tutaj jest bardzo wielu aktywnych górników, emerytowanych górników. W takim miejscu bardzo trudno przekonać mieszkańców, że to górnictwo, ten węgiel, który spowodował, że miasto urosło, że miasto zawdzięcza temu surowcowi swoje bogactwo, swój rozwój, że to jest też to coś, co ich truje, co rujnuje im zdrowie. Źródło tego problemu to jest, wiąże się ze sposobem ogrzewania naszych domów. My po prostu w okresie zimowym korzystamy ze starych kotłów, ze starych pieców, które generują bardzo duże ilości zanieczyszczeń. To alarmy smogowe jako pierwsze prowadziły kampanie edukacyjne. I to, co robimy, to edukujemy, informujemy mieszkańców, naciskamy na władzę, żeby władze podejmowały zdecydowane kroki, jeśli chodzi o walkę ze smogiem. Mamy szczęście, że na terenie Rybnika zlokalizowana jest stacja państwowego systemu monitoringu, która podawała regularnie informacje o poziomie zanieczyszczenia w naszym mieście.
Years back, Rybnik was a smog capital of Poland. The city became a leader of change, showing that clean air is possible even in toughest conditions. City action were based on, first of all, heat source replacement, second of all, subsidies for this goal, and third, controls. Our mission is to support local governments, mayors, but also residents and the city official with the knowledge that will help them to improve air quality, but also to propose tailor-made local solutions. At the beginning of our fight for clean air, it seems that replacement of 5,000 individual heat stoves was impossible. Rybnik showed that it is possible to replace 10,000 of inefficient heat stoves.
Projekt LIDER bardzo nam w tym pomógł, dlatego że otworzyliśmy się na nowe projekty, nowe możliwości i jednocześnie chcemy w przyszłości, żeby nasza gospodarka była oparta nie tyle o węgiel, który jest naszą tradycją, ale chcemy iść w stronę nowoczesnych technologii OZE.
Bo jeśli w takim mieście jak Rybnik, gdzie ciągle są aktywne kopalnie, gdzie są wielkie tradycje górnicze, jednak udało się przekonać mieszkańców do tego, żeby przestali używać węgla do ogrzewania swoich domów, żeby rezygnowali ze starych kotłów kopciuchów i korzystali z nowych źródeł ciepła, ekologicznych źródeł ciepła, to naprawdę może udać się wszędzie.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation.